Hello, cyberspace. It's me, Angie, and I welcome both you and your ears to an episode of Life, Love, Music, and Space Travel. In case you're wondering who Angie is, I'm Angie, and I'm super stoked to spend some time sharing with y'all some of my experiences and thoughts on living, loving, music, and space travel, or spiritual experiences as I often refer to as space travel. A rather broad spectrum, right? Well, my hope is to always share something that resonates with, intrigues, excites, or perhaps inspires you. On that note, I invite you to sit back, buckle up, and take a little trip out into the cosmos with me. Hello, cyberspace. It's me, Angie, coming to you with episode number 33 of my podcast, Life, Love, Music, and Space Travel. 33 episodes. Yeah, 33. And I feel like it's a perfect segue into what the focus of this episode is. I'm going to call it the Triple Whammy. Focused around this holiday season we are headed into officially today. I'm sitting here in my bedroom tonight, actually, Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving Day has just come to an end, and it's been an emotional day for me. Up until about yesterday, man, I had been feeling really good. I wasn't really feeling emotional. I knew the holidays were coming up. I thought I had everything under control, whatever that means. And then yesterday, sometime in the morning, this wave of emotion just sort of settled onto me, over me, around me. It's sort of been a common theme in my life. The holiday season has not been my favorite time of year. Yeah, I grew up with a pretty wonderful childhood overall. Plenty of neuroses that came around or came about due to that time of life. But I think that's what happens when you're a kid. Shit happens. And overall, my childhood, I recall it fondly. And the holiday season, I recall fondly. I have spent I've actually now officially been here in North Carolina for almost a year. And the last 27 years I spent in Colorado. A pretty challenging time in life, away from my family, many years on my own, working a lot. I worked in the service industry for a very long time, so I waited tables pretty much during all of the holiday seasons. My holiday season did not look the way I thought it should, wanted it to, expected it would, hoped it did, wished it would, all of that stuff. For many years, I just kind of went with the flow. Then I definitely had some good holiday times, for sure, during my married life. But the experience of the holiday season has just always been challenging for me. That being said, I kind of thought it would be different this year. I'm with my family. Having spent the last few years in a very challenging life situation, living downstairs in my home. The husband and I were divorced, and it was not pretty or comfortable, very emotional. And now here I am this year with my family, mom, dad, brother. We have a guest staying with us, and you'd think it couldn't have been more lovely, but it was kind of fraught with emotion. What I really want to talk about, I guess, is putting it out there for anyone else who might be dealing with overwhelming emotion or some self-pity, sadness, grief, all of the stuff that I think we're going through all year long to some extent, but seems to be compounded during this time of year. I did a lot of things today. Actually, I slept in. I helped my mom with the dinner to the best of my ability. She had a ton of stuff done already. I think maybe somehow that's how she sort of copes with it too. Cooking, and baking. It was a wonderful spread. Wonderful, delicious spread. Thank you very much, Mom. I did some dishes. I came into the bedroom and took a nap. Things did not go the direction that I wanted them to. I wanted to watch the parade and the dog show, but the household had other plans, and rather than disrupt anything, I came in and kind of took a nap, called a friend of mine, reached out for support, allowed myself to have my feelings. I cried. I definitely cried, reflecting on the way my life, not that I'm unhappy with the way it is, but there's still grief around the fact that it is not the way it was a long time ago, not the way I wish it was, the way I feel like it could have been, all of that stuff, how I think it's supposed to be. Even though it's been a year of great change with so many positive things taking place, I am definitely still struggling with the idea of sitting in a place of acceptance and gratitude. I recently read something about that. I believe it was out of The Language of Letting Go, Melody Beatty, and it talked about acceptance and gratitude. When things are not as I'd like them to be, practice acceptance and gratitude. Man, that's fucking hard. So my intention is not for this to be any sort of a downer episode. What I really want to do is just be a voice that says, maybe somebody doesn't want to hear it this way, but fuck the holiday season. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, whatever, Kwanzaa, whatever anybody has going on. And I don't mean get rid of it, but just be in it as though it is another day. Celebrate gratitude every day. Celebrate the joy of whoever your higher power is, God, Jesus Christ, whatever it is you're celebrating during Christmas, Santa Claus. Celebrate that, but just really be aware of the fact that nothing looks the way it does on TV, in the commercials, unless you're watching some sort of a horror movie. Or one of my mother's favorite movies is Home for the Holidays, and it's Robert Downey Jr. I can't remember all the other characters, but it's a fantastic movie filled with dysfunction and really a lot of truth about what goes on during this time of year. I have been reading through one of my favorite apps, Poddex, as you know, and I've kind of pulled out a bunch of questions that I'm just going to go over because I think it all sits pretty appropriately with how I'd like the topic to go for this episode. I do want it to be inspiring. I do want to remind people that they're not alone. We have plenty of options, places to reach out, the Hope Line, the Crisis Helpline. There's so many places to go. Be of service, ring the bell, find your fellowship, get out of your isolation, or allow yourself to find some solitude and be with yourself. Whatever it is that's working, that will work for you to keep you grounded, is, I believe, the direction that one might want to head. Myself, just getting back to, it's like today was filled with a lot of feeling. I did go outside and do my meditation. I tried to be steady. I didn't discount the fact that I was feeling filled with self-pity and try and push it down and hide it away or feel really ashamed. I had all those feelings, though. I did feel this weird sense of shame and some guilt. And am I participating enough? And what am I doing? Am I bothering anybody else? All of that junk. And I do believe it's because of the work that I have done on myself and continue to do that I got through today in the manner that I got through it. I did finish it up with an enormous plate of food. Yes, I ate every bite. And I had a delicious little mini sweet potato pie that my friend Chase made. It was delicious. But anyway, I'll tie that all into my first question out of the Poddex. And it might be out of the self-growth deck. It says, what are you currently learning? I feel like I'm really always learning, but currently, real present, I'm learning to be gentle with myself. I'm learning to practice humility continuously. I'm learning to use my tools, one of them being just the idea of letting go. I'm learning that if I do let go, I feel better. Instead of forcing myself into some weird situation, going out, necessarily participating. My family is kind of a soccer family, and I'm not. They're all watching the World Cup, and I'm not. I've never really been into many sports on TV. I love winter sports, but I didn't force myself out there to be a part of that. I kind of let them have their thing, and So I'm learning that it is okay to feel the way I feel. It's okay to feel the way I feel. I'm learning continuously that I'm not alone. I talked to my dear friend Sarah. We have never met in person. We actually met during the pandemic, and we have built this incredible friendship, the support that I love her and she loves me and she's my soul sister. I can't wait to meet her someday, but we talked today. I'm learning that reaching out helps. I'm learning that it's really okay to be disappointed or to be sad. Then it's okay to get up and move through those feelings and feel something else. My next question says, why did I start this podcast? I started this podcast because I wanted to share with others that it is possible to get through the darkness, especially from the perspective that I come from, which is a place of recovery. I wanted to have a forum to get the message out there that you can get through anything. That's why I started this podcast. As I sit here tonight, it's really for me. I think. I do like to think people are listening. I know that there's download numbers, but as I sit here, I am feeling better. I'm feeling better just as I talk about the fact that I did get through today. This is just the beginning. My dear friend Sarah, she called and she said, "Happy Thursday, November 24th." Yeah, it is. It's Thursday, November 24th. It's a day that I woke up and I got the chance to eat some delicious food and sit outside on the porch, hang out with the dogs and the family. And yeah, with the rest of the United States, it's a big day about gratitude, I think. I don't know. Most of it seems to be about food, really. I know there's a lot of stuff about family and spending time together, but it just made me think that I really want to do all that stuff all year long, not just on one day. We put all this pressure on one day. Happy November 24th. I'm hoping that this podcast reaches people who will resonate with the fact that sometimes the holiday season sucks. And that it's okay to feel that way. I have never cared for somebody telling me how I should feel when they say, oh, well, find the positivity and try and get me out of my truth. I don't want to sit in my misery, but damn, it's really important for me to honor my feelings, my personal situation. I know that people are going through challenging stuff. I have seen all kinds of stuff on Facebook, on the internet. People are continuing to lose family members. A friend of mine that I went to high school with, I don't want to say that we're necessarily friends. We went to high school together and graduated together, and he recently lost his brother. Didn't lose him. His brother passed on. Transitioned to the next great adventure. That is not an easy experience to be enduring during this time of year, especially with all the pressure for joy and happiness and everything that's going on around us. People are grieving. I am, once again, that outside voice that just says, don't hide your feelings. Find your people so that you have a place to express what you're going through and to honor what you're going through and not push it down because you think maybe you're supposed to feel some way or you should feel some way. Do not should on yourself. Continuing on with this focus of, I guess I'm also going to say I want to kind of focus on gratitude and acceptance, which can seem like yuck. Oh my goodness, more gratitude and more acceptance, which can be very challenging things if I'm feeling down or sad. Very hard to pull gratitude out, that's for sure. And acceptance it's definitely not an easy practice, especially when I used to think it meant I had to like whatever it was I was trying to accept. No, I don't have to like it, but to accept it allows me the opportunity to be in the present as things are, which is generally not as I'd like them to be, even when they're good. The next question says, what role has fear played in my journey? In truth, I can be fearful of feeling good. I've been saying that. I have been feeling really good these past few weeks. And part of me is like, when's the ball going to drop? Nothing really happened to change my pink cloud experience, whatever one might want to call it. But I had an emotional change. Fear has been in the back of my mind as to when are things going to change. Fear always plays a part in this earthly experience for me. I know that, as I've mentioned, I stayed in a pretty dysfunctional and toxic relationship for a very long time out of the fear of what it would be like to change. Here I am, almost a year later, and my life is so different from the way it was last year. Last year, today, I was actually attending a pretty big Thanksgiving dinner with friends. A big dinner. It was really wonderful. It was lovely to spend so much time with people. But I also knew underneath why I was there and not at my home. And that tied into the fact that, a year ago, things were not very good. So flashing forward into today, this idea of fear playing a role in my journey, it held me back for a very long time. Yet there was a very poignant moment when it transitioned into a fear of things staying the way they were. And that's how I slowly transitioned and finally made it was a process, the big change of having, we sold the house, we did all kinds of stuff. But my fear of leaving an old life became overtaken by the fear of staying in a situation that I knew was terrible for both of us. I think fear can be very healthy. I can't let it rule me. I can't let it run me. I don't live in a place of fear, but there are fears that are healthy. And so it continues to play a role in my journey. The next question that comes up is, what am I struggling with this week? Well, I've pretty much mentioned what I'm struggling with, and it's probably both acceptance and gratitude. Acceptance that this is where I am right now. I've actually been talking to a lot of people lately and saying, I love my bedroom. I've finally unpacked all my stuff and I'm continuing to hang pictures up as though I'm going to be here for a while. And I've actually been here for a year. But I can say now it's like, oh my goodness, there's a part of me that thinks this is where I am. At 51, this is where I am. What are things going to be like for me? Will I ever live on my own again? I don't know. I have no idea what life is going to be like. And so what I was very excited about just a few days ago, I think maybe even 2 days ago, was this idea of the unknown, this great adventure that I'm on. I am now struggling a bit with this idea of the way things are and where things are going to go from here. What is my ex-husband doing? What are my friends doing back in Colorado? Am I making the right decisions? Why doesn't my life look the way I think others looks? That idea of comparison being a terrible thing. I'm struggling a little bit with those ideas, and that's okay. I'll transition on to the next question quickly, which is, what are you most grateful for? And I really hope, by putting these questions out there, I invite you all to ask yourselves, what are you struggling with this week? How has fear played a role in your life? All of the stuff that I've brought up. Maybe you have started a podcast, and why did you start it? And what are you currently learning? I ask all the time. I would love it if you would head over to my website and leave me a voice message. All you have to do is press the button, leave a message, leave me a voice message, and answer any of those questions. I would love to hear how other people are dealing with this triple whammy time of year. I know it's not a new thing for me, and I'm pretty sure it's not a new thing for others. So let's join in our curious community and share with each other as a reminder that we are surely not alone. Across the globe, people are challenged with everything that's going on. And I've always felt like this time of year, getting closer to the end of the 365, for me, it always seems like all my lessons are squishing in, I now just have a month and a half or so to finish off and learn everything I was supposed to learn in 2022. And the weight feels heavy sometimes. I'm definitely continuing to learn a lot. But what am I most grateful for? I actually did sit down and do a gratitude list earlier because I know it works. And I had been reminded about doing one. And if you'll indulge me, I'm going to read it. And I'm also going to invite you to go ahead and do a gratitude list. I did one with my friend Carrie quite a few years ago, but we probably went almost 3 months. I should look back through it because I'm also a text hoarder along with a picture hoarder, and I have all my old texts. And we did 5 things a day, I think, 3 to 5 things a day for almost 3 months. I feel like it might have been that long. And it is a great practice. It ends up being the very easy and obvious things to the deeper things to think about. I always have something to be grateful for. Most grateful for, what am I grateful for? Number 1, my doggies, Marshy and Chip. I just love the 2 of them. Both as usual lounging, one at the end of the bed, one in his little basket. And they are my loves, 2 furry babes that keep me smiling, and I'm incredibly grateful to be able to share my days and nights with them. 2, all of the doggies I've been blessed to share life with. Panda, she was my first. Actually, she wasn't my first. I should take that back. She was my gal pal for 16 and a half years. I thought she'd live forever sometimes. So all the doggies I've been blessed to share life with, as I mentioned, Panda, Sheba, Sasha, Pumpkin, Sass, Daffodiddle, Bristly, Coney, Marbly, and Sammy, Buddha, Dog, Nugget, Sprocket, Maxwell, Sarah Bear. So many. Haley and Cole also, who I'm living with. And there's some kitties for sure as well. Mommy Cat, Hobbs, Fatty, Mufasa, Kitty, Frody, and Sam. And my brother has 2 adorable kitties also. I need to learn their names. I don't know them as well as I will eventually get to know them yet. 3, my family, immediate and extended. It is a great gift to be able to live with mom and dad and brother right now. My dear friend and soul sister, Sarah. My gratitude runs deep. My warm and cozy bedroom in my parents' house, yes. Spotify and my playlist, Angie's Jam. 27 years in the Colorado Eagle Valley. 29 snowboarding seasons on the hill. Being a recovering alcoholic drug addict. Willingness to feel my feelings, both the good and the not so good. Possibilities. My higher power. Having an active relationship with this God of my understanding, a God I can do business with, however you want to state it, it's paramount. Having met and married my now ex-husband, Sean. I do love him, and good and bad, very grateful for our good times and our not so good times. I'm equally grateful for ketamine in a medically supervised setting. And I have talked about that, my mental health. It's been a big part of my journey, finding a path to mental wellness. Ketamine has played a big part in it as of late. And you can listen to my episode 19, my Ketamine Chronicle, if you want to hear a little bit more about that. Recovery in all forms. An honest desire to move forward toward authenticity. My podcast. Music. This earthly experience. Yeah, those are just a few things. Thanks for listening and allowing me space to say those things out loud. It's hard to sit in a place of sadness and self-pity when I realize, that's just a tiny tip of the iceberg of the things that I have to be grateful for. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm going to go to bed here shortly and I have a cozy place to sleep, and I wish that for everybody. I love when, I think it's Ram Dass who says, and I am paraphrasing, the only way for you to help me is by helping you, and the only way for me to help you is by helping me. And that's in the manner of, I got to take care of my mental health and stay on this, some sort of a spiritual journey, focus on my stuff. I get better and we get better. And I do believe that to be very true. Next question is, what did you do today that made you feel good? I did a lot of stuff, I guess. I did. I called my friend Sarah, as I mentioned. I reached out to a few other people. I sent some Thanksgiving well wishes to others. I participated with my family. I hung out with my dogs. I meditated, got outside, took in some fresh air. I feel like I practiced self-care today, which always makes me feel good. We all have things to make us feel good, and I'm grateful that I didn't have to really use anything to alter my feelings. I will say food definitely made me feel good. I do feel full now, but it's been a good day. That being said, here we are getting a little bit close to closing time. I feel better. I am going to say that. I feel better. So this part 1, I'll call it, of the triple whammy, this holiday hullabaloo time of year, gratitude and acceptance. That's an area that I need to sit in. Gratitude for where I am, for what I have, for what I'm doing, and taking the focus off of anything else that's going on. I don't watch a lot of TV, but the ads are everywhere, and I get plenty of emails. And Facebook, I love the social network, but I have to stay really diligent in reminding me that it's just a tip of the iceberg of people's lives as well. And either I feel like it shows the best of the best or the worst of the worst. I'm going to try and stay really present and focused on my stuff. I do want to read a little something. So I have this book. It's called Fuck Stress: Tips and Advice on How to Banish Anxiety from Your Life. But what I like about this particular reading, not so much focused around stress, but just dealing with the emotional challenges. The author of this book his name is Alex Martin. And this little blurb on page 126 of the book is called "Let Go of the Past," in quotes. We all have things in our past that have shaped us. Regrets, loss, grief, and heartbreak are incredibly painful, and forgetting is usually not an option. Difficult emotions teamed with cultural pressure to get over it means stress is piled on top of the grief, making it even harder to deal with. But it is possible to make peace with your past by letting it go. This takes time. How much time is totally personal, and there's no shame in taking as much of it as you need. Everyone holds on for longer than they outwardly let on. Try writing what you're ready to let go of on a scrap of paper and burning it. Or visualize walking away from painful memories. The important thing is to learn from your experiences, feel your painful emotions fully, and then let them go. End quote. I know that sounds lofty, and for me, it's taken a lot of work. I have a therapist. I do participate in outside things that help with getting past and moving forward and dealing with my emotional situations. I've been listening to so much great material. I've mentioned him many times, Michael Singer. The Surrender Experiment, The Untethered Soul in Action is it's a fantastic book, and The Untethered Soul is a fantastic book. All this stuff about how to move past our stuff. I will say I just started listening to another book called The Body Keeps the Score. I don't have the author right now. I will include it in the show notes. It is a very insightful book on how we deal with our stuff and how it is hard to let things go out of guilt or a feeling of maybe losing contact with the person we've lost, if it's a personal loss or whatever it is. I put out there to everyone and anyone who is struggling to please find a way to work on moving forward in this life. Who knows where we go in the next life? You may have a different belief for sure, but I definitely believe that there's something after this. And so those of our loved ones who have transitioned, they're on to the next great adventure. I know it doesn't feel that way, and sometimes our transition from this plane to the next one is not pretty, but this is just a one part of the journey, I believe. And you don't have to believe what I believe by any means. I think we all believe something different, but I know that they would want for me to be happy here. This journey will be over for all of us soon enough. So here's to moving forward, finding joy in the present, regardless of what your circumstances are. I do believe it's possible. and finding gratitude today, acceptance in today. Yeah, that I think is what I've got. Here's to a happy Thursday, November 24th. By the time most of you listen to this, it will not be Thursday, November 24th anymore. And so I'll say here's to a happy holiday season. Call it whatever you want. I'm not a politically correct whatever kind of person. I don't know what your beliefs are, and I surely am not going to limit anything to one belief, whatever it is you're celebrating or not celebrating. This time of year, here's to all of us getting through it one day at a time with a semblance of grace, serenity, gratitude, acceptance, and joy. Until we meet again, thanks for listening. Bye. So we've reached the end of today's episode. Thanks so very much for listening. It's now time to reconnect to planet Earth and all that comes with living on the blue ball. I'd love to hear your ideas for future episode topics, along with any and all positive and or constructive feedback. Please feel free to contact me at ashysbadass@gmail.com. Thanks again for spending some time with me and allowing me to share myself with you. Until next time, please be gentle with yourselves, be kind to animals, and do all you can to allow your authentic selves to shine brightly.